Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Richard Engberg and I'm an equity researcher here at Erik Bank. With me I have Thomas Kalita, CEO of Angler Gaming. So hello Thomas.
Hi.
So Thomas, you had your quarterly report today. Could you just briefly summarize it in a couple of sentences and then we'll move further on to discuss the long-term strategy and trends within the industry?
Yes, in short, we came out with our report today and we delivered our second best quarter in the history of the group with the second best revenues ever. They were up 33% from the same quarter last year. And we also had the second best EBIT in the group's history. And the EBIT was up 41%. And what we also had, that we had unusual high, we had an extra financial cost, so to say, because we had very high fluctuations in exchange rates during the Q3. And normally we are not that affected about that, but this quarter, pretty much all the exchange rates went against us. And when we saw that, of course, we took strong actions, but we also have to balance what we are doing because we're also a global company with the representations active on more than 20 markets, and we want to be local as well. We also need to have some rolling reserves in different payment service providers to be able to pay out high winnings faster and so on. But given this, what has happened in Q3, we did take strong actions and we wanted to mitigate our future risk. And we have done so because we don't want to see this kind of exchange rate losses in the future.
Is there any specific regions you want to highlight? When we talked about the second quarter earnings, we talked about that you're going to launch in Asia. How's this launch been?
The launch has been relatively good. It's going a bit slower than we think. Actually, our company towards Northern Europe was the one that was performing best this quarter. And but now when we see the start of Q4, we see that we're going strong on all markets, and some markets that we were small actually are picking up a lot. And we are very pleased how the quarter has started, the first month, both when we compare it to the daily average net gaming revenue in Q2, and also when we compare it to the same period last year. So we are quite fine with that.
Can you please elaborate a bit more about the trading update, both the quarter-on-quarter growth and year-on-year growth? And then, is it a growth driven by higher revenue per customer or is it more customers?
Good questions. First of all, Q3, it's very difficult because we don't really know exactly why the revenues ended up in the second best in the history of the company. But we saw that some of our companies or our competitors, which have strong sportsbook offers, were performing quite well. And our conclusion is, which we didn't mention in the report, but it's what discussed generally in the market, is that a lot of due to the COVID virus, a lot of the leagues and it was a lot of good games going on, which we think were particularly good for companies with strong sportsbook, and we are mainly focusing on the casino offer. So that was what we think is the main reason. And now when we are going into Q4, we see that we are growing both in terms of active customers. So the old customers so on are much more active, and we also see that we are getting more new unique depositing customers. So generally we feel that we have a very good momentum at the start of Q4, and I think that answered all your questions. Otherwise, ask again.
Okay, and now let's focus on the long term and some more of the equity story. Can you please discuss a bit what trends do we see in online gambling right now? Is it live that is your strongest point, or is it more traditional slots, or a mixture, or is it dependent on markets?
It's again a very good question. We see that the sportsbook offer is going strong, and we have already told the market that we are planning to launch a sportsbook before the European Cup, Nations Cup next year. We also see that due to the COVID virus, people tend to be more home, of course, and when you are home, you tend to use the internet more. Personally, I'm buying a lot of. When I was in Malta during the previous lockdown, I started to use a lot of these e-services to ordering food. But the main question is then, will some of these customers going back to the offline offering? And I would say some will, but like me, when I discovered this ease of ordering food at home, even when I was able to go to the restaurants, I still continue to use the services quite a lot. And if these two, how much they offset each other, these two things due to COVID, it's difficult to see. When we're getting back more to more product-specific trends, we can see that, for example, the live casino, the big suppliers of live casino, they are more and more creating game which are going more as a mixture between live game and making traditional slots more live, so to speak. They use it in the combination in the studios. But we also see that we're getting new innovations regarding slots with more excitement for the customers and so on. Then we of course have the political trend, which in Europe is that there is more and more of regulation, and we see also trend towards that the regulator, they want more and more to, generally speaking, to increase the taxes, to make the offering not less and less attractive for the license, the company with the license, and so on. And this is a very complicated situation because the regulator has to remember in this kind of situation, there is not only the regulated gaming companies and the regulators, there is also actually the customers. And every time that the regulator tend to reduce the excitement or some other things in the product, the customers getting less happy with the product and tend to look for alternatives outside of the regulated channels. And I'm talking about making games slower, lower potential winnings and so on. But of course, you also have two other parameters which are extremely important. That I have always said that's why it's so important, not only because it's common sense and ethical, that we take really good care of responsible gaming and anti-money laundering. Because if these two things are in place, we can have much more exciting games without the regulator trying to make the games less exciting, which just open up for the .com market. So it's a very complicated situation where we see that the regulators tend to forget about the consumers and that they actually have choices around the world today. And otherwise, I see also a trend that there is more and more interest in people playing live and live casino.
And my next question is about your new B2B initiatives. Can you please talk a bit about this and what you're planning? Who are your main competitors in this area?
Yes, we used to have quite a few B2B partners. We bought them all, and since we are such a fast-growing company and profitable. We have noticed a quite high interest in our offering. So we have prioritized now to increase our efforts towards B2B partnerships, particularly in the white label area, where we provide the platform and the partner company provide the customers and the brand name. And We have signed in Q3, as we said in the report, a white label, and we expect this to generate revenues and a positive cash flow in Q1. We're also in discussion with some other potential and partners, and we have come quite far with this particular one, which has a huge potential. And in terms of competitors, we have seen a trend that many of our competitors are they are not having their own brands. They're just focusing on B2B. But we think it's very important to be both a B2C and B2B provider. Maybe the closest example is Aspire Global, and in opposite to, for example, Gaming Innovation Group, who sold all their own B2C to Betsson. And we think it's important because by having our own brands, we really have a close feeling for the trends, how the market develop and so on, and we can make a better offer even to our B2B partners. So we see that it's important to have both these legs in the company.
Okay, fair enough. And my next questions are regarding marketing activity. How do you see the competition for share of voice right now? Has it gone up or gone down, or is it basically the same?
Depends on which market. When it comes to Google AdWords, generally we see a higher competition where the cost has increased a bit for Google AdWords. When it comes to TV, for example, in Scandinavia, we see that amongst the gaming companies it's pretty much the same. It used to be higher previous year, the competition, but we see more and more companies from particularly the e-commerce area who have started to gear up again and start their more marketing activities, which have driven up the price a bit. And that's something that we have taken into account when we do our marketing planning.
Okay, so basically, but maybe what happened was that I heard a lot that the cost of marketing went down during the start of COVID. Maybe the traveling companies, etc., bought less advertising, and now you see competition from other industries for the same spaces.
Yes.
Thomas, I think that was all for me. I wish you a pleasant day, and I wish all the listeners here a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.